At dinner, my son said loudly, "At least Mom's new husband isn't a loser like you." I said nothing. The next morning, his car was gone and his school account was frozen. That evening, my ex called me in a panic. I'm 45 and been divorced from Lisa for 3 years now. We have one son, Aaron, who's 19, and in his second year at a private university. The divorce was brutal, and Lisa spent the entire time poisoning Aaron against me. She remarried last year to this guy, Brad, who works in sales and acts like he's some big shot because he drives a BMW and wears expensive suits. Aaron worships Brad. Every conversation turns into a comparison, and I always come up short. The thing is, I'm actually doing fine. I'm an electrical engineer making good money. I own my house outright and have solid savings, but I drive a practical sedan and dress normal. So according to Lisa, that makes me a loser. Part of our divorce settlement was that I'd cover Aaron's college costs. Tuition, room, and board, everything. That was my idea because I wanted Aaron to have opportunities regardless of what happened with the marriage. I pay about $30,000 a year for his private school. I set up automatic payments and gave him a credit card for expenses. Aaron's gotten increasingly disrespectful since the divorce. Lisa encourages it, and Brad does nothing to stop it. Family dinners when he visits have become torture. He makes constant comparisons. Brad takes him on expensive trips. Brad buys him designer clothes. Meanwhile, I'm just the guy paying for his education and providing a boring, stable home. The car situation matters here. Aaron wanted a car for college, and Lisa demanded I buy one. The divorce agreement didn't mention a car, but Aaron kept pushing. I eventually bought him a decent used Honda, reliable and appropriate for a college student. Aaron was furious. He wanted something flashy like Brad's BMW. I explained a reliable car was more practical and he should be grateful. He accepted it but complained constantly. Last month, Aaron came for his regular weekend visit. I planned dinner at a nice restaurant hoping we could have quality time without drama. Started okay. We talked about classes and summer plans. Aaron seemed in a good mood. That lasted 30 minutes. He started going on about some vacation Lisa and Brad were planning. Expensive trip to Europe over spring break. I made the mistake of asking if Brad was paying or if it was coming from Aaron's college fund that I provide. Aaron got defensive, said it was none of my business how Brad spent his money, said Brad was generous unlike some people. Then he started listing every way Brad was supposedly better than me. Brad's more successful. Brad's more fun. Brad's more understanding. According to Aaron, Brad was everything a father should be. The final straw came when Aaron said it loud enough for other diners to hear. "At least Mom's new husband isn't a loser like you." He had this smug expression like he was proud of putting me in my place. I sat there for a moment just looking at him. Other people in the restaurant were staring. I felt humiliated and angry, but I didn't want to make a scene. I asked for the check, and we left in silence. The drive back was awkward. Aaron seemed to realize he'd crossed a line, but didn't apologize. I dropped him at his dorm and told him I'd see him in 2 weeks. He just shrugged and walked away. That night, I sat in my house thinking about what he said. I've been enabling his disrespect by continuing to provide financially while he treated me like garbage. Something had to change. The next morning, I made calls. First, I canceled Aaron's credit card at the bank. The representative asked if there was fraudulent activity, and I just said no. I was the account holder and wanted it closed. Done in 5 minutes. Then, I called the college bursar and requested a hold on his student account until I could review charges personally. I was the account holder and payer, so this was within my rights. The woman on the phone sounded confused but processed it anyway. Finally, I called the insurance company and removed Aaron's car from my policy. The agent asked if he'd sold the vehicle, and I said no, just removing him effective immediately. She warned me he wouldn't be covered, and I said I understood. Then, I drove to his dorm, used my spare key to retrieve the Honda from the student lot. It was parked in his usual spot, the one he'd complained about because it wasn't close enough to the building entrance. I got in, adjusted the seat back to where I liked it, and drove off campus. 20 minutes after leaving campus, my phone buzzed with a call from Aaron that cut off immediately. Then a voicemail notification. I pulled over and listened to it. It wasn't a regular voicemail. He'd pocket-dialed me and I could hear everything. "What if he never pays again?" Aaron's voice was shaking, like he was trying not to cry. Brad's voice came through ice cold. "Then you'll take loans like everyone else. I'm not your father." Aaron got desperate. "But you said you'd take care of me. You said I didn't have to worry." Brad laughed. Actually laughed. That was when he was still paying. "You think I'm gonna drop 30 grand a year on you? I've got my own kids to think about eventually." But Mom said, "Your mom says a lot of things. Look, kid, you're on your own here. Maybe you shouldn't have called your real dad a loser in public if you wanted to keep the gravy train rolling." There was silence. Then Aaron said something I couldn't make out. Brad's response was clear, though. "Figure it out. I'm not your backup plan." The voicemail cut off. My phone rang again, Aaron calling back on purpose this time. I stared at the screen, let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. then it went to voicemail. He called again immediately. I declined it. A text came through. "Dad, please pick up." Then another. "I'm sorry about what I said." Then, "Can we please talk?" I turned my phone off and went to bed. The next 2 days were like that. My phone would light up constantly. Calls, texts, voice emails piling up. I'd check them once in the morning, once at night, but I didn't respond. Most were from Aaron, frantic and increasingly desperate. A few were from Lisa, starting angry and ending with threats. One text from Aaron at 2 a.m. said, "I have a test tomorrow and no way to get there, please." Another at noon, "I had to skip class, I can't afford an Uber every day." Lisa's texts were different. "You're being childish. Answer your damn phone. This is abuse, you know that, right?" I didn't respond to any of them. On the third day, I came home from work to find Lisa's Mercedes parked in my driveway. The black one Brad bought her last year, the one she made sure to post about on social media. She was sitting on my front steps, arms crossed, wearing sunglasses even though it was overcast. The second she saw me, she stood up. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't," I said, walking past her to unlock my door. She followed me up the steps. "You can't just cut Aaron off like this. He's your son." "He's your son too," I said, opening the door. "Maybe you should have thought about that before you spent 3 years teaching him to disrespect me." I tried to close the door, but she stuck her foot in. She was wearing heels, expensive ones, and I worried for a second she'd hurt herself, but she didn't seem to care. "This is insane. You're punishing a kid for one comment." "One comment?" I turned to face her. "Lisa, he's been treating me like garbage for years. You know it. I know it. And you never did anything to stop it." "That's not true." "It is true." I pulled out my phone and hit record. "Actually, you know what? Let's talk. Why didn't you ever tell Aaron to respect me?" Her eyes went to the phone, then back to my face. "Are you seriously recording this?" "Yeah, I am. So go ahead. Explain to me why you let Aaron treat me the way he does." She looked caught, like a deer in headlights. For a second, she just stood there, mouth slightly open. Then she sighed and her shoulders dropped. "Look, it was just easier, okay? Brad and Aaron got along, and if I tried to defend you, it would have caused problems at home. I was trying to keep the peace. Keep the peace with Brad," I said. "Not with me. Not with Aaron learning how to be a decent person. Just with Brad." "That's not fair." "It's exactly fair. You chose your new husband over your son's character, and now you're here demanding I keep paying for it." Her face went red, and I could see her jaw clench. "You can't do this. He needs that money for school. He needs to learn respect first," I said. "Now get off my property." She stared at me like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her hand went to her hip, that thing she does when she's about to really lay into someone, but then she stopped. "You've changed," she said quietly. "No," I said. "I just stopped letting you walk all over me." She pulled her foot back and I closed the door. Through the window, I watched her walk to her car, get in, and sit there for almost 5 minutes before driving away. I saved the recording to 3 different places. The next day at work, I was eating lunch in my car when someone knocked on the window. I looked up, and there was Aaron, standing in the parking lot in wrinkled clothes and a backpack slung over one shoulder. I rolled down the window halfway. "How did you find me here?" "I took an Uber," he said. He looked terrible, unshaven, eyes red and puffy, hair sticking up like he'd just woken up. "Dad, please, I need the car back. I need my account unfrozen." I can't do this." "Aaron, I'm at work." "I know, but you won't answer my calls and I didn't know what else to do." His voice was shaking and he kept shifting his weight from foot to foot. "Please, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I was being a jerk. Just please give me another chance." A couple of my co-workers were walking by, slowing down to watch. I recognized Steve from accounting and Jennifer from the office next to mine. Great. I reached into my glove box and pulled out the bus schedules I'd printed that morning. I'd actually looked them up the night before, found the routes that connected his dorm to campus and the grocery store and the library. I handed them through the window. "What is this?" Aaron asked, taking the papers. "Bus routes from your dorm to campus. They run every 20 minutes during the week, every hour on weekends." He stared at the papers, then at me. His mouth opened and closed. "Are you serious right now?" "Very serious. This is what consequence looks like, Aaron. You don't get to call your father a loser in public and then keep the car he bought you." I said I was sorry, and I heard you. But sorry doesn't undo 3 years of disrespect. Sorry doesn't undo you choosing Brad over me every single time. Sorry is just a word you're saying because you want your stuff back. That's not true. It is true, and you know it. His face twisted up, and for a second I thought he might actually break down right there, but instead he just screamed, "You're ruining my life!" His voice echoed across the parking lot. More people stopped to look. Then he threw the bus schedules at my car and stormed off across the parking lot toward the street. I watched him go, hands shaking on the steering wheel. My heart was pounding, and I felt sick to my stomach, but I didn't call him back. My boss walked by a few minutes later as I was getting out of the car. "Bill, nice guy. Been with the company 20 years. Everything okay, Dave?" he asked, glancing in the direction Aaron had gone. "Yeah, I said. Just some family stuff. He nodded slowly. If you need to take some time, just let me know. I'm good, thanks. But I could tell he'd seen the whole thing. Probably everyone had. That night around 11 p.m., I was watching TV when my email notification went off. Message from Aaron. The subject line was, "I'm really sorry." I almost deleted it without reading, honestly. My finger was hovering over the trash icon, but something made me open it. It was long, really long. Had to be at least 1,000 words, maybe more. He went through specific memories from when he was a kid. The camping trip to Yellowstone when he was 8 and we saw that bear from the car. The time I taught him to ride a bike in the driveway and he crashed into Mom's flower bed and we both laughed so hard we couldn't breathe. How I used to help him with his science projects, staying up late to build the volcano or the solar system model or whatever it was that year. He said he'd been an idiot, that Brad had been a terrible influence, always talking about money and status and what car you drive, like that's what makes a person valuable. He said he'd gotten caught up in the lifestyle, the trips, the fancy dinners, the expensive clothes, and forgot what actually mattered. He said Lisa had been pushing him to see me as less than for years, making little comments about my job or my house or my car, and he'd just gone along with it because it was easier than standing up to her. He said he understood now that I was the one who'd always been there, always paid for everything, always showed up to his games when he played soccer, even the away ones 2 hours away, always cared about his grades and his future and his happiness. He said he wanted to meet for breakfast to prove he'd changed, face to face. No phones, no distractions, just us. I read it 3 times. Part of me wanted to believe it. Part of me thought maybe the wake-up call really was working. Maybe he really did get it now. I wrote back, Saturday morning, 9 a.m., the diner on 5th. His reply came in seconds. I'll be there. Thank you. I mean it. Thank you. Saturday morning, I got there at 8:45, ordered coffee and sat in a booth by the window where I could see the parking lot. The diner was the same place I used to take Aaron when he was little, back when he'd order chocolate chip pancakes every single time and get syrup all over his face. Aaron showed up right at 9, and I barely recognized him. He was dressed nice, button-up shirt tucked in, clean jeans that actually fit, hair combed, actually shaved. He smiled when he saw me and it looked genuine, reached his eyes and everything. "Hey, Dad," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. "Hey." The waitress came over and we ordered. He got an omelet and orange juice. I got the usual, eggs and toast. For the first 20 minutes, it was like talking to a different person. He asked about my work, about the downtown grid project I'd mentioned months ago that he'd never cared about before. Wanted to know if we'd solved the voltage regulation issue, if the city was happy with our proposal. He actually listened to my answers. He asked how my back was doing. I'd heard it last year moving furniture and he'd never once followed up. Wanted to know if the physical therapy helped, if I was still doing the exercises. He told me about his classes, but not in the usual bragging way where everything's about his grades and how smart he is. Just normal conversation. Said his economics professor was tough but fair, that his writing seminar was actually pretty interesting even though he dreaded it at first. Then he put his fork down and looked at me directly. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about respect, and you're right. I've been taking you for granted." "Yeah, you have," I said. "I know, and I'm sorry, really sorry. Not just because I want the car back, but because I genuinely didn't realize how much I was hurting you." He looked down at his plate, moved some eggs around with his fork. "Brad's been a terrible influence. He's always talking about image and status and all this shallow stuff, and I got caught up in it, but that's not real. You've been the real one all along. You paid for everything. You showed up. You never bailed on me. And I acted like that didn't matter." I felt something loosen in my chest, like a knot I'd been carrying for months was finally starting to untie. "I appreciate you saying that," I said. "I mean it." He met my eyes again. "I want to do better. I want to fix this. I know I can't undo the last 3 years, but I can try to make the next 3 years different, better." We talked for another hour. He told me about this girl in his philosophy class he thought was cute, but was too nervous to talk to. Asked my advice. Actually wanted to hear it. We talked about his summer plans. He was thinking about looking for an internship instead of just hanging around Lisa's house like last year. By the end of it, I actually felt hopeful for the first time since the divorce, like maybe we could get back to something that resembled a normal father-son relationship. I told him if he kept this attitude up, if he really showed me consistent respect and effort, I'd consider giving him the car back in a few weeks. Maybe unfreezing the account too, on a trial basis. We'd take it slow, see how things went. He nodded, said that was fair, said he understood he needed to earn back my trust. We split the check. He insisted on paying his half even though I knew he was tight on money. That felt like a good sign. He hugged me when we left. A real hug, not the stiff one-armed thing he'd been giving me for years. Held on for a few seconds, patted my back. "Thanks for giving me another chance," he said. "Don't make me regret it," I said, but I was smiling. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. maybe years. Put on some music, rolled the windows down even though it was a little cold, felt like things might actually work out. Then Monday afternoon, my neighbor Jim knocked on my door. Jim's this retired guy who lives 3 houses down, walks his dog past my place twice a day. We're not close friends, but we're friendly. Wave when we see each other. Sometimes chat about the weather or the neighborhood association. "Hey Dave, can I ask you something?" he said when I opened the door. "Sure, what's up?" "Was that Aaron's car at Lisa's place Friday night?" I froze. My hand was still on the doorknob. "What?" "Yeah, I was driving by around 8 p.m. and saw that Honda parked in her driveway. Just thought it was weird since you mentioned a few weeks ago you'd taken it back." My stomach dropped. "You sure it was Friday?" "Positive. I was heading to my brother's place for poker night, same as every Friday. Definitely saw it there." I thanked him and closed the door slowly. Pulled out my phone and checked my email. Aaron sent that long apology email Friday at 9:47 p.m., which meant he'd been at Lisa's house when he wrote it, or just left. I stood in my living room for a minute just thinking. Then I grabbed my keys. I drove to Lisa's neighborhood, didn't go to the house, just parked down the street behind a delivery truck where I could see the driveway but wouldn't be obvious. And there it was, the Honda, parked right next to Brad's BMW like it belonged there. I sat there for maybe 20 minutes, radio off, just watching. Then the front window lit up, and I could see inside. Lisa was setting the table in the dining room. Brad was sitting on the couch watching TV, and Aaron walked into frame carrying a bowl of something, laughing at something someone said. They were having dinner together, like a family. I took a photo with my phone, made sure the timestamp was clear, and drove home. I didn't call, didn't text, didn't give him a chance to prepare an excuse. I just sent Aaron a screenshot of his car parked at Lisa's house with the timestamp from Friday night, 9:14 p.m., half an hour before he sent the apology email. My phone rang within 30 seconds. "Dad, I can explain. Go ahead. I was just dropping something off for Mom, some boxes from her storage unit. I wasn't there long, I swear, I just..." In the background, clear as day, I heard Lisa's voice. "Tell him you were helping me with yard work." Aaron paused mid-sentence, just stopped talking. "I was helping her with..." I hung up, went to my contacts, found Aaron's name, blocked the number, then Lisa's. Then I poured myself a bourbon and sat on my back porch. My phone rang again 5 minutes later from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. It was Lisa, and she was screaming. "You're being paranoid. You're being vindictive. Aaron really does want to fix things, and you're making it impossible. You're ruining everything because you can't let go of your ego." I deleted the voicemail and turned my phone on silent. 2 days later, someone knocked on my door around 7 p.m. I looked through the peephole and saw Brad standing there in one of his expensive suits, navy blue with a tie that probably cost more than my grocery budget for a month. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. "Hey, Dave," he said, all friendly like we were buddies. Big smile showing all his teeth. "Can we talk for a minute?" "About what?" "About Aaron. Look, I know things got messy, but he really does want to fix this. You're just making it impossible by spying, right?" I said. That's what Lisa said in her voicemail. Brad's smile didn't fade, but something shifted in his eyes. "I mean, driving by the house, taking pictures, it's a little much, don't you think?" "I heard Lisa coaching him on the phone," I said flatly, "when he called to explain why his car was at your place. I heard her in the background telling him what to say. Tell him you were helping me with yard work." Those exact words. Brad's smile faded a little. He shifted his weight, put his hands in his pockets. "So here's what I'm wondering," I continued. "Did you guys rehearse the whole breakfast thing together? The apology email, the nice clothes, the conversation topics? Did you all sit around and plan it out?" He didn't answer, just stood there looking at me. "Yeah," I said. "That's what I thought. Tell Aaron if he wants to talk to me, he can do it on his own. Not with you guys writing the script." "You're making a mistake," Brad said quietly. "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make." I closed the door. The next day, Aaron posted on social media. I didn't see it right away. I wasn't checking Facebook much anymore, but my sister called me about it. "Dave, what the hell is going on with Aaron?" she asked. I sighed. "What did he post?" "Something about how hard it is when a parent chooses their pride over their kid. He didn't name you, but everyone knows who he's talking about." I hung up with her and checked. There it was. It's hard when a parent chooses their pride over their kid. Some people just can't let go of being right, even when it costs them everything. Family should mean more than ego. The comments were already rolling in. People I went to high school with, neighbors, distant relatives. "So sorry you're going through this. Stay strong. Your dad's loss." Within an hour, my phone was blowing up. My mom called from Florida asking what happened. 2 cousins I hadn't heard from in months texted asking if I was okay. My sister called back wanting details. I realized what he was doing. Classic manipulation. He was trying to create social pressure, make me look like the bad guy to everyone who knew us, force me to give in just to save face and stop the questions. So I wrote my own post. Took me 20 minutes to get it right. I didn't want to sound angry or petty, just wanted to tell the truth. I laid it all out. What Aaron said at the restaurant, word for word. The coordinated manipulation attempt with the apology breakfast. How I'd heard Lisa coaching him during a phone call. The car at her house the night he sent the email. Everything. I ended with, I'm still willing to support Aaron financially if he shows genuine respect, not a performance. But I'm done being treated like an ATM with no feelings. If you want to judge me for that, go ahead. I tagged Aaron and hit post. The comments came in fast. Friends I hadn't talked to in years saying they couldn't believe Aaron said that they'd be furious too. A few people I worked with saying they respected me for standing my ground. My sister called and said, "Holy crap, Dave, I had no idea it was that bad." Aaron's post disappeared within an hour, just gone, like it never existed. Then my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Aaron screamed. Not sad, not apologetic, pure rage. "You just humiliated me in front of everyone I know. My friends, my classmates, people from high school, everyone saw that." "You tried to humiliate me first," I said calmly. "I was venting. That's what people do on social media. You put my actual words out there. You told everyone about the breakfast. You made me look like a liar and a manipulator. You are a liar and a manipulator. And now everyone's asking me about it. Professor Chen saw it. My roommate's parents saw it. Do you have any idea what you just did?" "Yeah, I told the truth. You just made everything worse. You just nuked any chance we had of fixing this." "No," I said. "I just made it public. You're the one who tried to manipulate me, tried to turn our family against me. I just responded with facts." He hung up on me. Didn't even say goodbye, just ended the call. I sat there holding my phone, and honestly, I felt okay with it. Tired, but okay. The next day, Lisa called from someone else's phone. I recognized her voice immediately. "I'm taking you back to the mediator," she said. No hello, no preamble. "You're violating the divorce agreement by cutting off Aaron's support." "No, I'm not. I already talked to my lawyer." There was a pause. I heard her breath catch. "What?" "College support was voluntary. It was my offer during the settlement, not a requirement. I can withdraw at any time. It's not in the agreement as an obligation." Another pause, longer this time. I could almost hear her brain working, trying to find another angle. Then her voice cracked. "You're really going to do this? You're really going to destroy your relationship with your son over your ego?" "My ego?" I actually laughed. "Lisa, you spent 3 years poisoning him against me, encouraging every disrespectful comment, letting him treat me like garbage, and now you're mad that I stopped paying for it. That's not ego. That's self-respect. He needs that money for school. You're hurting him to get back at me. I'm not getting back at anyone. I'm setting a boundary, something I should have done years ago." Her voice got quiet. "Brad said Aaron's too expensive." I went silent. "What?" "Brad said he's not worth the headache now that things got complicated. All the drama, the social media posts, your public post about him. Brad doesn't want to deal with it. He's pulling back his support too. Said he's got enough on his plate without babysitting someone else's kid through college." "Then maybe," I said slowly, "you should have raised a kid who knew how to treat people with respect." "Don't you dare!" I hung up. A week went by with no contact. No calls, no texts, no social media posts from Aaron. Total silence. I actually started to feel a little guilty. Not enough to reach out, but enough to wonder if I'd been too harsh. Wondering if I should have handled it differently. If there was some middle ground I'd missed. Then, late on a Friday night around 11 p.m., there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Aaron standing there. But he wasn't crying, wasn't angry. His face was just calm, neutral, almost blank. I opened the door. "Aaron, can I come in?" he asked. His voice was different, flat. I hesitated, then stepped aside. He walked in and sat down on my couch like he'd lived there his whole life. Leaned back, put one ankle on his knee, just sat there looking around like he was appraising the place. "I wanted to let you know I'm handling things," he said. "What does that mean?" "I'm taking out student loans. Got approved for $20,000 for next year. I also got a job at the campus bookstore, 20 hours a week at $15 an hour. And I'm picking up some tutoring gigs for extra cash. I'm figuring it out." He said it matter-of-factly, no emotion, like he was reading off a grocery list. For a second, I felt this weird flash of pride. Like maybe all of this really had forced him to grow up, to take responsibility for his life instead of just coasting on other people's money. "That's good," I said carefully. "I'm glad you're stepping up." He smiled a little, not a happy smile, something else. "Yeah, I also applied for hardship financial aid. Did you know they have that?" "What?" "The university has this program for students whose parents withdraw support unexpectedly. Hardship cases. I applied 2 weeks ago." My stomach started to sink. "Aaron, I documented both parents' abandonment in writing, yours and Brad's. I've been recording our arguments on my phone. Did you know that? Saving all our texts, screenshots of everything, building a case." He tilted his head slightly. "Turns out when you can prove that both your parents simultaneously withdrew financial support, you can qualify for a lot more aid. Need-based grants, emergency funding, work-study priority. The financial aid office was really sympathetic. I stared at him. You manipulated the financial aid office. I gave them the facts, he said calmly. They made their decision based on the information I provided. The university gave me a significant aid package. Almost covers everything, actually. So, thanks for that, I guess. Your public post about abandoning me really helped my case. My hands clenched. Aaron, that's not… You lied to them, did I? He raised his eyebrows. You did cut me off. Brad did pull his support. Those are facts. I just presented them in a way that made my situation clear. That's not the same thing as being abandoned. Isn't it, though? He leaned forward. What's the difference, really? You withdrew support. That's abandonment. The reason why doesn't matter to them. They just see a kid whose parents stopped paying. You know exactly what you did. What? He smiled wider. I manipulated them? Yeah. Kind of like how you manipulated me at that breakfast, right? That's what you accused me of. Manipulation. Performance. So I guess I learned from the best. We're not the same, aren't we? He settled back into the couch. Think about it, Dad. At breakfast, you wanted to hear, I've learned my lesson. So that's what I said. The financial aid office wanted to hear, I'm a victim of parental abandonment. So that's what I told them. Brad wanted to hear, you're better than my real dad. So I said that too. Mom wanted to hear, I still need you, so I played that role. He counted them off on his fingers like he was listing items. Everyone has a story they want to believe about themselves, he continued. You want to believe you're the good dad who got screwed over. Mom wants to believe she's the victim of the divorce. Brad wants to believe he's the successful stepdad who's better than you. The university wants to believe they're helping struggling students. Everyone's got their narrative. So you just tell people what they want to hear, I said quietly. Exactly. He snapped his fingers and pointed at me. See, you do get it. You just tell them their story. Make them feel like they're right. Then they give you what you need. That's sociopathic, Aaron. He shrugged. That's survival. You think I wanted to play these games? You and Mom made me this way. The divorce, the constant fighting, having to choose sides, listening to Mom trash you for 3 years while taking your money. Yeah, I learned how to work people. Had to. No, I said. No, you didn't have to. You could have been honest. You could have been a decent person. Like you? He laughed, sharp and bitter. You're the one who cut me off to teach me a lesson. You're the one who made it about power and control. You proved that money was more important than actually talking to me. You called me a loser in public, and you nuked my entire life over it. His voice rose for the first time. You didn't talk to me. Didn't try to understand. Didn't give me a chance to apologize before you took everything. You just wanted to hurt me back. So don't pretend you're better than me. We sat there in silence. I didn't know what to say. Then his voice went flat again. Anyway, the week I went silent, I wasn't wallowing. I was preparing my financial aid application, getting my documentation together, making sure my story was airtight. Turns out if you can prove both parents simultaneously withdrew support for non-academic reasons, it triggers automatic review. They expedited my case. You planned all this, I said. Yeah, I did, because I realized something during that week. He leaned forward again, elbows on his knees. I realized I can't rely on anyone. Not you, not Mom, not Brad. Everyone's just looking out for themselves, so I need to do the same. That's not true. It is true. You cut me off the second I hurt your feelings. Brad bailed the second things got complicated. Mom's only helping me because it makes her look good. Nobody actually cares about me. They care about their version of me, the version that makes them feel like a good person. I felt sick. Aaron, that's not… I do care about you. No, you don't. He said it without emotion. You care about the idea of being a good father. You care about looking like the victim in the divorce. You care about feeling morally superior, but you don't actually care about me as a person. That's not fair, isn't it? He tilted his head. When was the last time you asked about my life without it turning into a lecture? When was the last time you were interested in what I actually think or feel? You want me to be grateful, respectful, whatever, but you don't actually want to know me. I tried to know you. You're the one who pushed me away, because you were boring. He said it like it was obvious. You wanted to talk about electrical grids and home repair and all this stuff I don't care about. Brad took me to basketball games and nice restaurants and actually made me feel cool. Yeah, he's shallow, but at least he was fun. So I'm boring and Brad's fun. Great. Real mature. I'm just being honest. He shrugged. You asked why I chose him. That's why. He made me feel like I mattered. You made me feel like I was supposed to be grateful for existing. I didn't have an answer for that. Anyway, Aaron said, standing up, I'm not here to fight. I just wanted to let you know you don't have to worry about me anymore. I've got it handled. I don't need you. I don't need Brad. I don't need Mom. I'm taking care of myself. He walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back. Oh, and for the record, he looked at me directly. That thing I said at the restaurant, about you being a loser, that was actually the most honest I've ever been with you. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I do think you're a loser, he continued. You paid for everything, gave me everything I asked for, and let me treat you like garbage. That's pathetic. But you know what? I'm a loser too, because I treated you like garbage while taking your money. I used you. I used Brad. I used Mom. I'm using the financial aid office right now. He smiled, and it was the coldest smile I'd ever seen. We're all just users, he said. The difference is I'm the only one honest about it. You guys all pretend you're good people, like you have principles and morals. But really, you're just playing the same game I am. You're just not as good at it. He opened the door. So yeah, thanks for the life lessons, Dad. You taught me the most important one. Everyone's out for themselves. Might as well admit it and stop pretending otherwise. Aaron, oh, and for the record, he paused in the doorway. Brad's worse than you. At least you actually believed in being a parent, even if you sucked at it. He just wanted to look good for Mom. So if it makes you feel any better, you're like the second worst father figure in my life. He smiled again, actually smiled, like he'd just told a good joke, and walked out into the night. I stood there in my living room, staring at the door he'd just closed, and realized I didn't recognize my own son at all.